Hey, how's it going? My name's Pete DeMarco. In this video, I want to show you how I took this shot in Singapore's Chinatown. Then I'm going to show you how I take my light trail images at intersections, where you can take your photos from this to this. One of the most important festivals in Singapore, as well as many other countries around Asia, is the Mid-Autumn Festival. It started over 3,000 years ago to give thanks for a bountiful harvest. One symbol of the festival is the lantern, which is meant to light the way to prosperity and good luck. In Singapore, you can see lanterns hanging around Chinatown from mid-September to mid-October. My goal was to capture the festive spirit of this vibrant celebration. To do that, I wanted to photograph light trails passing through a tunnel of lanterns. Buses make for great light trails because of all the lights they have on them. So basically I would just hang here at the corner and then try and time the passing of a bus with the stoplights and then hit my shutter as soon as the bus went by. I want to share a few light trail composition tips with you. The first one is pretty obvious, and that is light trails make for excellent leading lines. They really draw the viewer's eye through your scene. One important thing to remember, though, is that you want to keep your vanishing point inside your frame. You don't want the vanishing point to be off the edge of your frame. Keep it inside your frame. Another composition technique that I like to use when shooting light trails is something known as the Dutch angle or Dutch tilt. You can see the horizon line is tilted, so it's higher on this side and lower on this side. Here's a look at the same scene, but with the horizon corrected. This is a flat horizon, and to me, this one just isn't nearly as interesting. The Dutch angle is more dynamic, and it kind of gives you the feeling almost that you're spiraling into the scene. It's not static like the flat horizon shot. After my street level shot, I wanted to get up high for a different perspective. On the opposite corner from where I was, there's an apartment tower, and if you just go up the steps to, I think, the 4th floor, there's an open terrace there. You can set up, and then you have a great view of this intersection here. One problem with shooting light trails is that you just can't get enough of them. Your photo ends up looking like this with just a few light trails. The trick is to take multiple exposures and then merge them in Photoshop. To do that, you want to take a number of exposures, and you want to make sure that you get the light trails moving in each direction, from the bottom of the top of the frame and from the left to the right of the frame. Or if you're not doing left to right, just whatever direction the cars are going in, take a number of exposures. It doesn't matter how many you do. Maybe you need 3, maybe you need 10. It all depends on your scene and how many light trails you want. Once you're done, highlight all those photos, right-click, edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. So here we are in Photoshop, and the first thing I want to do is align all my layers. To do that, I'm going to go over to my files here, shift-click, highlight them all, go to Edit, then Auto Align Layers, make sure Auto Projection is on, and hit OK. Now, I shot these photos with a tripod. They all should be exactly aligned up. However, sometimes it's possible that you bump the edge of your tripod, or maybe there's strong winds and they're just thrown off by a fraction. So this is just kind of a safety step to make sure everything is lined up exactly where it should be. Once you import all your layers into Photoshop, you want to find your base layer. And I know that this top layer file is my base layer. I can just tell that the highlights and shadows are perfect, and the cars here, I remember the cars were on the side here for this photo. So I know this is my base layer. So I'm going to go ahead and label that base. Then I'm going to drag that down to the very bottom. After that, I'm going to go up to the top, and I want to label which way the lights are going in. So for this top photo here, they're moving from left to right. This next photo here, they're moving from bottom to top. Next, I want to group the layers by the direction that they're going in. Once you've labeled each direction, you want to go ahead and highlight every photo. Go up here to the blend mode and go to lighten. And what that will do is it will bring all of the brightest pixels to the surface of your image, your shot. So now we have our left to right, our bottom to top, and our base file. And so you can see if we click this off, we can get rid of all these left to right, and the same thing with the bottom of the top. Now, there's a few things that we need to fix here. You can see all of the cars in the background on the left. We want to get rid of those. I want to get rid of this bus. And then all these signs are blown out. We want to get back to this properly exposed base exposure. So how can we do that? The first thing I want to do is layer in the trails that run from the bottom to the top. So to do that, I'm going to make sure all of my layers here under my bottom to top are turned on, these eyeballs here. I'm just going to go through and I'm going to turn each layer on and off and pick which layers that I want to use. So you can see when I turn them on and off that the light trails are showing up for that particular layer. If you look at this one over here, there's a car and I don't really want that car in it. Let's just say I don't want to use this file right here. I'm going to just take that, drag it down to the trash, get rid of that. This looks good. This looks good. Of course, the car, we could have just painted that out, but just for the sake of showing you how to choose these light trails here, we're going to get rid of that last file. So we have all of our files, all of our layers that we want to use for the bottom to top trails. And then the next step is to add a reveal all layer mask. I'm going to go down here, get a layer mask, reveal all. Then I want to make sure my brush is black. And I'm going to turn my opacity up to 100. And I'm just going to paint out a bunch of our layer here and get rid of all this stuff that we don't want that belongs to this layer. Let me close that here. So we're getting rid of all this. So we're showing our base layer beneath this here. Whoops, that's a little bit too much. Let's just go down here like that. Okay, and these lights look a bit blown out. So I also want to go in and just bring back my base layer where these lights are properly exposed. I want to have this little dude on the corner here. Good. And if you want to bring back some of the layers, some of the lights underneath here, you can always kind of zoom in and just go back. I'll go back to white. I'm going to paint back in any of these little trails that were in here that we might have erased before. Good. Next, I want to layer in the light trails that are moving from left to right. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'll turn those layers on. Let's get a closer look at the layers. And I'm just going to go through and delete any layers that I don't want. I'm going to just click these eyeballs here until I find the files that I like. This one looks quite bright and doesn't really add much. I only see a few little things over here. Is it this one? Yep. So I'm going to take this one, drop it to the trash. I don't need it. Let's see. This one here looks good. This looks pretty good. Let's just say, for the sake of this video, that we don't want that. And this one looks good as well. Nice. All right, we have all of our layers. We know what we want to do with this layer here. So now, same thing. I'm going to go down, add a layer mask that's revealing everything. I'm going to turn my brush to black. And then I'm going to go ahead, opacity's at 100. I'm going to go ahead and just paint out again everything that's not going from left to right, because we don't want this here. We're just looking for the left to right. Also, this bus, I don't like this bus. It's sitting on the edge. It draws too much attention. So I also want to get rid of this bus. All you have to do is just go through again and paint out that area there. All right, now we have our left to right trails and our bottom to top trails. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to learn photography with me, just check out the link below.